Hey guys, it's Jonathan and testing something out here. It's late. So if you're up and you're hearing me, that's great. If you're not, that's cool too. I wanted to test out some stuff tonight. So you're getting me a little casual. I wanted to test out some ideas. First off, if you're listening to me and you've got an athlete who's got some pretty big dreams, I'm going to post a link here in the chat. That I hope you'll take advantage of. So, put together a bundle of guides for athletes dealing with things that derail athletes. So, confidence, sleep, alcohol, and so I hope you'll take advantage of those and share them with athletes you may be in touch with who need to kind of get a rein on those things. And tonight, I just wanted to talk about. I'm going to probably do this tomorrow in a more formal setting with our group at creating high performance athletes. And so wherever you are in the world listening to me, I really appreciate that you're here. So I wanted to talk just briefly about the idea of confidence. And so one of the things we talk about in confidence is that we build off of past successes. So that is partially true. Okay. And I've even talked about that in the past. I've got a course on it for athletes on how to develop self-confidence in athletes. And what we've kind of come to learn about the whole self-confidence piece in terms of past successes is that you can have a past success, but how you talk to yourself about that successful event is key. So you can have a really good showing, like let's say you have a good event, or you do. It doesn't have to be sports related. It can be something you did in school or at work or any of those things. But if you talk to yourself in a bit of a negative way about it, then it defeats the effect of having a positive event. So what's really critical, if you're a parent or a coach and you're dealing with your athletes and you're just kind of they're struggling a little bit, one of the things to ask them to do is to ask, like, what do you say to yourself after you have a good event or a good at bat or a good shot in golf, like whatever the sport is. The question is, like, what are you dealing with, and what are you saying to yourself? Because I found this really interesting that in Martin Seligman's book called I got it right here on my desk, called Learned Optimism, right? He talks about one of the things that happens is that how you talk to yourself will if you, like, let's say something bad happens, the question is, like, do you blame it on somebody else, or do you take ownership of it? And I think for a lot of us, we would say, like, well, we take ownership of it, right? I remember years ago going through a sales training, and the guy who was leading the sales training was talking about how, like, okay, the global economy melted in 2008. He goes, well, how do you feel that affected your business? Well, if you came around and you said, well, no, I feel like the economy affected my business, I don't have any control over that. He was like, no, that's not true. And a lot of coaches act like that too, right? We want our athletes to be ready to compete and play no matter what the situation. But what happens is, if the athlete takes full ownership, then what happens is their self-esteem goes down. And this is something that isn't really talked about a lot. You would think that if someone who takes ownership of everything, their self-esteem would be pretty high, but it may act high. But what's happening is that inside they're beating themselves up, and they're saying things to themselves like, I suck, and I'm not good at this, and I'm never going to win, and I'm never going to, overcome this challenge, and whatever it is. But the flip side of that is that when you blame something outside of yourself, you maintain your level of self-esteem. And this is fascinating to me, because recently, and I'm not trying to get political here at all, but recently we've seen examples of a man who blames everything but himself. And what's really fascinating to me about this, no, I don't want any political comments here at all. That's not the point. The point is, here psychologically, as an example, what happens when you blame things outside of yourself is that you maintain your self-esteem, right? You're like, I'm good, wasn't my fault. And that's kind of fascinating. Whether it's true or not, it's kind of fascinating to say, like, okay, it was the weather. It was, my skis were slow. It was my ski tech. They made the wrong choice. It's a main, I watch a lot of Formula One racing, and there's all these sorts of things that can go wrong. And the fascinating thing about that is, like, if something goes wrong with the car, the driver's like, it's not my fault. It was the car. And so, from a confidence standpoint, we maintain confidence, we maintain self-esteem, and that's really kind of interesting to me. And so the idea here is we go beyond. We take the experience that we have, right, that your athlete has, and yeah, Joel, to a point, Dennis Whaley talking about positive self-talk, yeah, true to a point. The idea here is that we can speak positively, but the idea is like, well, what's happening on when we speak positively? So we're maintaining that level of self-confidence. So for a lot of my parents, they'll talk about their athlete and they'll say things like, God, my kid never takes, or maybe your kid takes responsibility, but maybe other kids on the team, like, they place blame on all sorts of things. And to me, this is an interesting kind of dichotomy, because as coaches, we often go to our athletes and say, like, all right, you've got to take ownership of everything. But that can really demoralize a kid, because if they do that all the time and they take ownership for everything and they're just piling on the weight and expectations, then that confidence is going to go down, no matter how good the experience was. Like, so if they have a good result, but maybe they think like, oh, it could have been better and I could have done that, it's like, oh, they've just beaten themselves up. It's like, no, you did well, you had a good event, you had a good result, own it. If some things didn't go well, though, it wasn't on you. And I know mine has more excuses than I can count. That's what Joel says. That's great. What's kind of interesting, Joel, is like, you'd really like this book as well. I've been going through it again. This is actually an old book, but Martin Seligman is phenomenal, and he's really, while Dennis Whaley is known for positive self-talk and positive thinking, I think Martin Seligman, in the world of education and professorship and PhDs and things like that, he's been given the moniker of just being like the father of positive psychology, but he takes it a step further. And what I like about Martin Seligman, which is fascinating, is that originally he did studying on what was called learned helplessness, but then many years later he went 180 degrees and was happy to say, you know what, we were wrong. We thought we knew what we were talking about, but then we were wrong. So I just wanted to go kind of briefly tonight and share that. I think I'm going to go do a little bit longer tomorrow on Thursday. But if this resonates with you, if it resonates with your athletes, your coaches, your parents, please do me a favor and share it. Hit the like button. And by all means, if you want to take advantage of that bundle that I put together, go ahead and check out the link that I posted here. It's the https://oliepress.kartra.com. Check that out and get yourself those freebies. And I'd love to get your opinions on those too. So, Joel writes, it's weird when he's in the zone and not thinking about it. It's always good. That's true. Okay. That's true, right? We don't want our athletes thinking on game day. We want them thinking in practice. So when game day comes, just let them loose and it'll all be good. All right, everybody, have a great night. I know it's kind of late for those of you guys in the East Coast, but what the heck? I thought I'd give it a shot and work on some new tech here as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.